What's up, you guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today we're going to be continuing our full set review of Wheels of Vengeance with the rares. And starting us off here, without any further ado, we have Dracula. Now, unfortunately, this is one of the few rares I don't currently have. I did pull one at one point, but I ended up trading it to a friend and didn't get another one yet. So, unfortunate I don't have him for the video, but regardless, Dracula is pretty awesome. He is 125 points, however. He's got the Legion of Monsters, Monster, Mystical, Past, Ruler, and Vampire Brood keywords. He's got the trait here that says he starts the game on click number 4. He has Steal Energy. When he uses it, he may heal past his starting line. The kind of usual vampire dial there. But then it also says when Dracula or a friendly Wheels of Vengeance number 9 vampire KOs an opposing character, after resolutions you may generate another vampire on its starting click in the square the KO'd character last occupied. So that's super cool. I love that. You know, we've seen that before back in like the Amazing Spider-Man set with the Zoovembies, and even some of the old zombie chases that when they damaged stuff, they gave them like a virus token, and when they KO'd it, they like, you got them back on their last click and healed them equal to the virus tokens, so you kind of like spread the zombie virus, and you know, you get to use your opponent's characters against them. So we've seen things like that happen before, which is really cool. And I like seeing it for vampires because it makes just as much sense as zombies, because, you know, they do kind of the same thing. They bite somebody and make another one. So yeah, it's really cool that we get to just generate more vampires every time we KO one of your opponent's characters. And then he also has a trait here that when Dracula damages one or more opposing characters after resolutions, choose up to 2 other friendly characters that can use Steal Energy. This turn they have free half-speed move, and that's so good to just let our vampires, you know, go do stuff. Because the generic vampires in the set, they're only got like stealth on their top click, but giving them that free move really helps out a lot. Then he also has Charge, Flurry, Stealth for his special move power after he heals past his starting line. So, I mean, starting with Charge, 12 attack, 18 impervious, 4 damage with some outwit, not too bad. I feel like just a lot of his potential here comes out of the fact that he makes more vampires. If you can manage to heal up onto that top click there, which would be pretty easy, you get 1 hit in, you know, heal up, and then you get the Charge Flurry, and then you can potentially get 2 hits in to heal all the way to top click. And you get that 20 invincible, 5 exploit, 13 attack. You know, he's pretty ridiculous up there. But yeah, and then you can just start making more and more vampires left and right. So that's pretty freaking awesome. 125 points still seems like a lot. And if he gets hit first, like, he doesn't start with stealth. So if he just gets shot for like 4 penetrating or something, they're going to put him on regen. They can just come up and shoot him with anybody else and just take him out, you know. So he does have that potential to get like 2 tapped pretty easy, which kind of sucks. But regardless, you know, I think for like a pulp game, he'd be really fun, and just kind of like fun games around the shop, you know, not really trying to win any prizes or anything. I think he'd be really fun to use. So yeah, that's kind of my take on him. He's probably not meta or anything, but he's probably the coolest freaking Dracula we've got yet. All right, but up next here we have Iron Fist, who is actually one of my favorite rares, because I do like Iron Fist. This is like one of the coolest sculpts we've got of him too, with these like energy hand things going on, the actual like Iron Fist glow. Very cool. And he does have that orange base, so he is going to be one of the, you know, glow figures. If you light him up a bunch and then turn off the lights, he's going to glow, and those fists are going to glow in the dark, which is pretty awesome. But taking a look at his card here, he is a team player, so he can, you know, copy team abilities and everything, which I think Spider-Man TA would be one of the best ones to copy since he's got a full dial of super senses. But he's got Avengers, Defenders, Heroes for Hire, Kunlun, Martial Artist, and Mystical keywords. And his trait here gives him Willpower, and opposing characters within 4 squares that can use Willpower only succeed on a 6. I really, really like that, because there's so many Willpowers now, you know, especially with like giant-sized characters and stuff. They get it on a 3 through 6, and you know, some characters that already get it on like a 4 through 6 just from like a special power or something, and then they get equipped with like a Green Lantern ring to give it +1, or, you know, some random stuff like that. So Yeah, it just gets pretty ridiculous. There's a lot of willpowers I've seen, basically succeed on anything but a 1. So it's really cool to have a power like this that can shut down opposing willpowers. And just have willpower for himself, too, is nice. But coming in at 75 or 30 points, I think both point lines are pretty playable. We got to take a look here at his other traits and specials. He has another trait that says when Iron Fist attacks one or more opposing characters, modify his attack +2 if any of the targets are multi-base or have one or more of the following: giant size, colossal size, or the monster keyword. So it's a really cool trait. It's literally called Besting Shao Lao the Undying, like the big dragon that they have to fight to get the Iron Fist power. So it's really cool to show like that side of him. Like he can take on these giant, crazy monsters and stuff, because he just really shuts down giants and colossals, especially because of that willpower thing and the fact that he gets +2 attack on any of them is so cool. And monsters too, just monster keyword in general, so good right now. But also just being multi-based too, that is one of the things. So it's really good with this set. There's so many multi-based characters, pretty much any character that's on a bike or anything, or on a horseback or whatever, those are all multi-base characters, the 1x2 bases. So he gets +2 attack against them also. So there's just a lot of targets for that. It's really great. And then you've got Charge and Force Blast as free, but only to target an adjacent character. So really strong free Force Blast is so good. I kind of want to equip this guy with the Shocker Gauntlets so it can knock back everybody adjacent as well. Adjacent to whoever you're knocking back. So you run up there, free knock back somebody adjacent, and everybody adjacent to them also gets knocked back, which is nice because if there's somebody directly behind them, they'll get knocked back first. And, normally that would prevent that person from taking knockback damage because they would just go right back into the person behind them. But with that, you can kind of knock back the person behind them first, who could take a damage, and then knock back the person in front of you. It's not really good in the sense that like he likes to be up close to people to punch them, but it is really good because it's free damage. To just knock back somebody into a wall or off a ledge or something is really nice. And yeah, he's got like precision strike and exploit weakness, so he's definitely getting through most defense powers with that. And yeah, I really like him a lot. This is a really cool Iron Fist. Maybe even my favorite Iron Fist yet. I think for 30 points, just have somebody carry him around and he can just free knock back people all day is pretty good. And, just turning off the willpower and everything. And then he can also just kind of sick him on the big monster dudes to get that +2 attack. And, just exploit for 2 or whatever. Although another, I think, pretty good equipment for him might be the Bucky's arm, just for the close combat expert. Another +1 to attack, and especially the +1 damage from that would be really nice. Or any of the Exa swords. Honestly, there's a lot of pretty good options to equip to this guy. Maybe even give him a health cycle for the hypersonic, or for the sidestep or something like that. There's a lot of good options that you could really kind of exploit with him. So yeah, I really like this guy a lot. Unfortunately, I don't think he's like super meta, but I think he has potential. I think that free knockback, definitely has potential. 75 points is probably a little too much to do anything besides like pulp or like fun games. But I think the 30-point line, I think there might be something there. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think, but I really like him a lot. Next up here we have Zoros, who is unique. And he's got that glow base, so you can tell that his fire is going to glow in the dark as well. And I'm guessing it glows like blue or white or something. I don't know, but it looks really awesome nonetheless. So let's take a look at his card here and see what he does. He's got Mystic's Team Ability, Cosmic Monster, and Mystical Keywords. And this trait here says free. Choose a friendly character. That character may make an attack, but only to target a character that, since your last turn, KO'd a friendly standard character or damaged Zoros. So if they hit him or KO'd any of the other friendly characters, you can give anybody on your team a free attack. That's pretty nice. I feel like that's going to come into play mostly at the 125-point line, because for 30 points, he's probably just going to get one-shotted with just toughness. But he has another trait that when he attacks an opposing character that took damage from Mystic since your last turn, he deals penetrating damage. If the friendly character that dealt damage from Mystics also had this trait, then he also increases damage +1. So we've seen this trait before in the uncommons and stuff. So pretty much just the standard Spirit of Vengeance trait there. Not too bad. But he's also got Stop, Invincible, Regeneration, which, pretty nice. I like having regen on Stop, except for the fact that I think it still gives you the -1 to the healing, if I remember correctly. I haven't looked at that in a minute, but I know that was a thing, so I'm pretty sure it still gives you the -1 when you're on a stop click. But, you know, being able to heal off a stop click, either way, still good. And then you got prob control and enhancement on the damage power, settle it with violence. Gotta love that. So yeah, pretty cool. I think he's looks really fun for 125. Pretty good stats there. You know, running shot, 12 attack, penetrating blast for 4 damage with the prob and the enhancement. Got 2 stop clicks and everything. Definitely worth the 125. And then for 30, you know, he kind of just sidesteps and prob stuff. And if somebody gets KO'd, then you give somebody a free attack. That's pretty nice. And again, you got the Spirit of Vengeance thing. He doesn't. I wish he had a stop on the last click. That would be nice. Yeah, I don't know. He's okay. I don't love him. I wish he was a little bit better at the 30-point line. Like, he's not bad for 30 points, but when you take a look at characters like Scott Porter for 25, it's just like, yeah, he could probably be better for 30, honestly. Like I said, you could have the stop click. That would be nice. Maybe even have 1 click of the special with the enhancement would be cool. But, you know, it is what it is. He's still pretty good supporting figure for 30, and a really cool, like, main attacker for 125, because he also kind of buffs your friendlies as well. And regardless, it's cool to actually get this guy in Heroclix. I'm pretty sure he's an unclicked character. I don't think we've ever had him before, because he is, like, the actual Spirit of Vengeance that, like, possesses the Ghost Riders or whatever. So it's really cool to actually have him. All right, next up, we've got Damon Hellstrom. This dude's pretty cool looking, with the flaming pitchfork and everything. And yeah, pretty awesome. So let's take a look at his card here. He has the Mystics team ability, Defenders, God Squad, Legion of Monsters, Midnight Suns, Detective, and Mystical keywords. Gotta love the God Squad. That's a new keyword. I don't think we've ever seen that before. Pretty sure it's just him and the Prime version of him are the only ones that have that right now. But regardless, he starts with a special attack power that gives him Blade's Claws and Giant Reach 2. And when he hits after resolutions, you may generate a fire, smoke terrain marker, and a hit target square. And at the beginning of your next turn, even if this is lost, deal 1 damage to each character occupying that marker, then remove the marker. So not too bad there. Pretty nice special attack power. I like the Blade's Claws Giant Reach combo. And, you know, whenever he hits, put that fire marker under them. And if they don't move, you're kind of forcing them to move. Otherwise, you're going to take that 1 damage from that. And then on his damage power, he got Outwit. And when he uses it, you may roll a d6 on a 1 or 2. It has no effect. On a 3 through 6 until your next turn, targeted character can't use standard powers unless they are displayed on their dial, in addition to the chosen power. So that's like a super strong Outwit. It has a 1 in 3 chance of doing absolutely nothing, which is fine, because 2 out of 3 times it does work. It literally just turns off everything. Which, yeah, I mean, they can't use standard powers unless they're displayed on their dial. Okay, so I'm exaggerating a little. It doesn't turn off everything, but there's so many good characters that have so many, like, special powers and traits that give them, like, 3 or 4 powers that it's like, when it gets down to just the colored powers on their dial, a lot of really, really strong characters become not that strong anymore. So that's a really powerful effect, especially because you can actually outwit one of those powers still. So, you know, you're still outwitting something either way. I think if you pick your targets right with that, you could shut down a lot of stuff. Plus, it's getting rid of everything they might have from any equipment or anything. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool things you can turn off with that. And it really hurts a lot of really strong figures. So it's kind of funny because it's like the stronger the figure he's going against, the better that is. Against some of the, you know, less good figures that do just have standard powers on their dial, it does almost nothing. It's just a regular outwit that has a 1 in 3 chance of failing altogether. So I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, he's got 80 or 40 point value. I think if you want to just use him for that cool outwit, you just play him at 40 because he can kind of just phase teleport around and outwit stuff. And he's still got the special attack power to get some good hits in there with the blades and whatnot. Otherwise, you know, if you really want to commit to him being an attacker, 80 points for the charge isn't too bad. I feel like I would honestly still just rather give him like a motorcycle or something instead of paying the extra 40 points. Like if you really wanted to, you give him a motorcycle that gives him charge +2 to speed and super senses on the 40-point line. I think that would be just a better use of, the points there. I'd be saving like 25 points. So yeah, if you really wanted him as like a close attacker, I would just probably equip him with that instead of paying the 40 points. But I think he's a really cool, very interesting character for that special outwit. If it didn't have a 1 in 3 chance of failing, it would probably be a lot better. But as is, still pretty awesome. All right, but up next we have the Prime version of Damon Hellstrom, which I don't currently have myself, but he is coming in at 100 points, got the Defenders and Mystics team abilities. The Defenders, Detective, God Squad, Legion of Monsters, Midnight Suns, and Mystical keywords. Detective is pretty interesting on that one, I'll say, but pretty good keywords anyway. You got a trait here that says damage dealt to opposing characters within range and line of fire is penetrating. Damon Hellstrom only takes damage from attacks. Two really cool things to that trait there. So basically anybody within his range and line of fire is going to take penetrating damage from any damage they take. That's whether it's coming from him or anybody else. So you just run him up there in the middle of the map somewhere, and everything the rest of your team hits with is penetrating. It's pretty crazy, if it's knockback, poison, energy explosion, just punching or shooting something, it's all penetrating damage. So that's pretty awesome. And then also he only takes damage from attacks. So even if they were to outwit his invuln, he couldn't take poison damage or knockback damage. And he also wouldn't take any damage from mystics either, which is pretty cool. And any other effect that deals damage but is not an attack, which is pretty rare. But, there are some cool effects that do stuff like that. Actually, just came into my head, the tarot card, that's the penetrating blast one. It does something like for the characters that have penetrating blast, when they make a range attack after resolutions, deal everything adjacent to a hit character when penetrating. So if he was adjacent to a hit character, he wouldn't be dealt that damage, or he couldn't take that damage, which is pretty cool. And just things like that in general. So just keep an eye out for that kind of effect. But yeah, he's got Energy Explosion, Quake, and Giant Reach too. Not bad. And then on his damage, he has Ranged Combat Expert, and when he hits after resolutions, you may generate a fire smoke terrain marker and hit target square. And then at the beginning of your next turn, even if this is lost, to deal 1 damage each character occupying that marker, then remove the marker. Don't forget that damage will be penetrating if they are within range and line of fire of him still. So yeah, pretty cool. And if you have a bunch of other characters that make those fire smoke terrain markers, just filling the map with them, as long as he's within range and line of fire, all that damage will be penetrating. So it's pretty awesome. So I think he's a pretty cool Prime, but 100 points is a lot. I'm just going to say it. He's not good enough in this day and age to be like the Prime you're going to want to play if you're playing any type of competitively. If you want to play him just to play Damon Hellstrom just because you like him, or just to play a cool theme team, then he's going to do great. He does some really cool stuff. He's really fun. But I mean, when you have to compete with Primes like Prime Spider-Man, Prime Hulk, even Prime Absorbing Man on the sideline, he just doesn't quite cut it for me, in my opinion. But regardless of that, he's still really good. If he was 75 points, maybe, I could see it. I could definitely see building teams around him. He's just a little too many points. I do like the fact that his Energy Explosion and Quake will also be penetrating from his effect. That's really cool too. He does some really cool stuff, but he's just not quite good enough to compete with some of the Primes we have. But if he's the only Prime you have, or you just want to play him, he's going to do well. I'm not saying he's a bad figure. It's just that there are better Primes. And when you can only play one Prime, it kind of sucks because you have to make those hard calls. And yeah, he's still cool though. I like him a lot. But up next, we have possibly one of my favorite rare figures. And that's saying something because there's some really great ones here. But we have Blackheart. This dude is freaking amazing. Every time they've made Blackheart in my time with the game anyway, he's been freaking great. The first one I remember is the super rare back with, I think, Amazing Spider-Man. Was he had the 2 little demon dudes that were coming off his base. You could literally pop them off, and they're little bystander dudes that he summoned. He was pretty strong then, honestly. And, of course, the last one we got was a super rare from like X-Men Rise and Fall or something. That dude was one of the most meta figures until he rotated recently. So now we just have a brand new Blackheart to replace him. Now, he's not as overpowered as that one was, but he is more of a support role this time, as that one was kind of more of a main attacker. But he does have Hellfire Club, Deity, Monster, Mystical, and Ruler keywords. Mystic's team ability, of course. Prince of the Underworld, free. Choose up to 2 adjacent friendly characters with the monster or mystical keyword. Place Blackheart in a square of hindering terrain within range. Then place the chosen characters adjacent to Blackheart. So that right there is the main reason this dude is so good. Because you're placing up to 2 friendly characters with a monster or mystical keyword adjacent to him after he places himself in any hindering within range, and he's got a 5 range. So it's so much better than TK. Like, it's like having 2 super TKers because he can place himself 5 and then place 2 people next to him. So like, imagine, I think this is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 5th square. Imagine he just places himself here, and then you place 2 people next to him, like this here and here or something. And then imagine if they're multi-base, they could actually extend out to here, an extra square further even. So you're basically placing them, 5, 6, 7 maybe even squares out. And that just requires range to a square of hindering. You don't need line of fire. So he doesn't need to actually see the square. It could be behind blocking, behind other characters. It doesn't matter. It's so versatile. It's at least as good, if not better, than, the rare Falcon's effect, where when he moves through somebody, he can place them adjacent to himself that shares a keyword with him. Same kind of thing going on, but this guy places 2 people for 50 points because probably just want to play him at 50 most of the time to get the most use out of that, to get some stronger characters on your team or some more characters on your team to place next to him. He also has another trait, though, that says at the beginning of your turn, generate a fire smoke terrain marker in a square within range. At the beginning of your next turn, even if this is lost, deal 1 damage to each character occupying that marker, then remove that marker. So, funny enough, he just makes a fire smoke terrain marker within range. Funny, huh? Because then he just places himself in that same one, right? So pretty freaking awesome. Even if you're playing on a map with no hindering, he just makes one within range, and you just place yourself in it. Super overpowered. And then he's got stealth, pulse wave, invuln, so he won't take the damage from the fire, and some empower there as well. Yeah, this dude, just super duper strong. I could see giving him a motorcycle for the running shot if you wanted to, place everybody and then like running shot pulse wave or something. But even if you don't do any of that, you just place people, and then, you can move him back to the starting area so that next turn he can just place 2 more people up. It's just so crazy how good this guy is. And I mean, for 100 points, he's not bad either. Running shot with penetrating blast, toughness, 4 damage with perplex. He could place himself and then running shot 4, shooting 5. That right there is pretty much full map reach, I think. So if you wanted to play him at the full 100, you could have a couple other people just place with him and then just have your whole team run up there, basically. Yeah, really, really strong. Either way, like him at 100, love him at 50. I think he's going to be super duper powerful for pulp formats, and I think he's also going to be very overused in regular meta play as well. He's definitely up there, top tier meta piece for sure. It is kind of actually ridiculous what he can do, but it's really, really strong. I'm keeping at least 2 of them because I think playing 2 of him at 50 will be pretty nuts. He's not unique or anything. He could place like 4 characters up, and then, if you got a leadership, then they could all just swarm and rush to the opposite side of the map, basically. So yeah, there's a lot of crazy things you can do with this guy. He's just super overpowered. I like him a lot. You gotta love him. 10 out of 10 figure. If you have one, keep one. If you don't have one, get one. Definitely. All right, up next, the only other rare I think that I'm missing here is Sasquatch, which he is coming in at 85 points. He has the Alpha Flight, Animal, Howling Commandos, Monster, and Scientist keywords. He's got a trait that the Realm of Great Beasts. At the beginning of your turn, choose one for Sasquatch to use until he chooses again. Perplex, Probability Control, or Support. So that's not bad. He gets access to some good powers there every turn, depending on what you need that turn. It's really cool. And he already has Outwit on his dial, so either way you're getting an Outwit, plus either a Perplex, a Prob, or a Support. And then you also have Charge, Leap, Climb, and Quake. And when he uses Quake, he deals normal damage, and after resolutions, he may make a terrain action as free. So that's really awesome. You know, he can charge in there, pick up a terrain on the way. He can just Quake a bunch of people, and then take a free action to hit with some terrain that he picked up with the super strength. So that's pretty freaking awesome. And even if he knocks them all back from the Quake, a lot of those bigger terrain pieces now do give you giant reach, so he should still be able to hit most people, which is pretty awesome. And, you know, you can outwit something before you go in there and do all that. And you can also, you know, either perplex up your attack or something, or just pick prob if you need it. So I think for 85 points, he's worth it for sure. I actually like him a lot. This may be like the best Sasquatch we've ever had, except for maybe the Colossal one from like the X-Men animated series or whatever. But this one is pretty freaking amazing for 85. I just really like how he has access to so many support powers, but it's also such a strong close combat fighter with the, you know, Charge, Quake, Super Strength, and the free terrain attack after the Quake. So good. And then, you know, pretty solid dial all throughout when he gets some close combat expert there. Got some regen to heal himself up. So yeah, not too bad for 85 points. I do like him a lot. All right, so the regular Sasquatch is pretty good, but moving on, we got the Prime version of Doc Sasquatch. Now, I have managed to use this guy in Sealed, and he was pretty great for me. I think I mentioned in my unboxing video that I teamed him up with Orb when I played in Sealed. It's because of his special Perplex that he makes such a good combo with something like Orb, but we'll get to that in a second. So first of all, he's got Hulkbusters, X-Factor, Animal, Brute, Monster, and Scientist keywords. Then his trait here says when he would be KO'd by an opposing effect, instead roll a d6 and place the result on his card. If that result is not already on his card, turn him click number 1, otherwise KO him, Protected Pulse Wave. So pretty much what that means is when he would be KO'd, roll a die, say you roll a 1. So then you put a die with a 1 on his card, and you just turn him back to click number 1, and he's not KO'd. And then when he would be KO'd again, roll another die. As long as you don't roll a 1, maybe you roll like a 3 or something, put a die with 3 on his card, turn him to click number 1, he's not KO'd. He would be KO'd a third time, you roll a die, you know, let's say you roll a 5, put a die with a 5 on his card, he's not KO'd, turn him back to click number 1. So on and so forth until you roll the same number. So you could potentially, if you roll like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he could potentially stay alive 6 times and, you know, take 7 times before you KO'd him, if you manage to be lucky enough to roll a different number every single time. In my experience playing with and against him, I would say that you can pretty much count on at least 2 or 3 lives out of him before you see a second number come out, because, you know, the odds of seeing it until you get to at least 2 or 3 is pretty low. So it's pretty awesome. He gets a lot of health out of the 80 points. You know, it doesn't look like he's got a lot for 80 points, only 4 clicks. But when you consider the fact that he's probably going to come back from being KO'd at least 3 times, he's got like a 12-click long dial, you know, it's pretty long. And it's actually kind of better because even if he takes a hit for like 6 penetrating, you know, he's only going to take 4 of that and then potentially just go back to click 1. So he can absorb a lot of damage that way. He does have just Leap Climb to start out with. It's probably the only bad thing. You got Super Strength, Invuln, 4 damage with Outwit. And then he has this amazing Perplex. Then when Doc Sasquatch uses it to target another friendly character he shares a keyword with, instead modify all of the target's combat values by +1. So that was what was so good, because him and Orb both share monster keyword, and Orb had an effect. He's got like traded Charge Flurry. So when you give him +1 to movement, +1 to attack, +1 to damage, it really makes the Charge Flurry like so much more effective. So yeah, any type of monster with Charge Flurry basically is going to do amazing paired with this guy. or scientist even, which, like, it sucks that some of our best scientists just rotated with, you know, Sicarian Iron Man, and also one of our other best scientists is another Prime with the Prime Spider-Man. But there's still some really cool stuff you could do, you know, animal, brute, monster. Those are all still great keywords. And yeah, I think he's pretty good. I do think 80 points is a little much, though. Although, like I said, he can survive a ton of damage, a ton of attacks, probably way longer than he should. And it's just kind of to the point where it's really not worth attacking him. Unless you can consistently shoot him like 4 times for 4 penetrating damage, it's really not worth it. Or just outwit him. Actually, if you outwit his invuln and you hit him with a charge flurry from like 2 people that are dealing like 4 damage or something, yeah, you could maybe KO him once, he comes back, KO him twice, he comes back, KO him a 3rd time, he comes back, KO him a 4th time, he might not get back up after that. But, you know, that's just committing a lot of actions, you know, a full turn at least to KOing just him. Which, I mean, I feel like you should be that hard to KO if you're an 80-point Prime figure, right? Which was another kind of thing, like, downside to the 100-point Prime Damon Hellstrom. Like, he's pretty good, but, you know, he could get one-shot by a big enough attack, right? This guy's not getting one-shot by anything, so there's that. And on the right team, you know, if he's perplexing the right guy, that guy's going to run up there and do a frick ton of damage for him. And, you know, maybe even give him, you know, if you really want him to run in there in the fight, give him I've said this a few times, but still, give him a motorcycle, give him charge, you know, and super senses on top of it makes him that much more annoying to deal with. And then he could run in there with super strength and get some good damage in himself, you know? So yeah, I like him a lot. I don't really know if I would play him over some other Primes still. Like, Prime Spidey's still my go-to 100%. And if I'm not playing a Prime, then I'm just going to have like a Prime Absorbing Man on the sideline. So it's just kind of a lot of stiff competition there. Or if, like, I'm not playing a Prime, but I only have 10 points, I might just be playing like a Prime Hulk or something. So, you know, it's like, you really got to kind of build around this guy, as I think is what I'm getting at. Like, you have to really have a strategy in mind to make the best of him. But anyway, like I said, takes a lot to take down. He can do a lot for your team, do a lot of damage. So for all that, you know, I think he's all right. All right, but next up we've got Ghost Rider 2099, I think. That's not his name, but I think he's like the 2099 one. He's got the robot. You know, he's like the Terminator or something. Pretty awesome. So let's take a look at his card here, see what he can do. He's got Mystics team ability, Future, Monster, Mystical, Police, and Robot keywords. Got the Spirit of Vengeance trait we've seen before, so, you know, could potentially do some extra damage against some characters. 70 points, Charge, Blades, Invincible. He's got some specials here on attack. He's got Precision Strike, Blades, Claws, Fangs. When Ghost Rider uses Blades, Claws, Fangs, you may instead roll 2d6 and choose 1 to be the result. If you do, after resolutions, heal Ghost Rider a number of clicks equal to half the result not chosen. So that's on his attack power that he gets later, so you can kind of heal up there. Hologram, Shape Change. If Ghost Rider is adjacent to blocking terrain, he can't be targeted by non-adjacent characters. I actually really love that. I really love, you know, good, strong, close attackers that are just really hard to deal with at range. Like, you have to actually get up there and punch him because you just can't shoot him because he can't be targeted while he's adjacent to blocking. And even then, he's got, you know, invincible, shape change, so he's going to not be very easy to deal with there. Yeah, I think he's really cool. I like him a lot. He's a really awesome version of Ghost Rider. And I love that whole special damage power. And the special attack power he gets later, you know, rolling 2, you get to choose which one you want to deal damage and which one you want to heal. So, you know, maybe if you're really low, you could choose like, oh, I rolled a 6 and a 4. Well, a 4 is a good damage, and I'll take the 6 so I can heal 3. So it really gives you that option. If you're like just kind of in the middle, yeah, you're going to want to deal the 6 and just heal the 2 instead. So I like that kind of options that it gives you there. It's really cool. Yeah, he's just a really cool, fun, playable version of the character. So I like him a lot. All right, next up we've got Death Rider. And this dude is super cool. I love his gigantic sword and that epic cape and helmet and everything. Looks so freaking awesome. Just super cool, you know, sword over the shoulder pose and everything. Very epic. So let's take a look at his card here, see what he can do. He's got the Mystics team ability, just Midnight Suns and mystical keywords. He's got a trait that says when a character, friendly or opposing, with the mystical keyword is KO'd after resolutions, generate a Sarah bystander max 1. Free, if Death Rider is the only character on your force, generate a Sarah bystander max 1. So either way, if you KO with something with Mystics keyword, or somebody on your team gets KO'd that has a Mystics keyword, you just get to generate that. Or if he's down to your last man standing, boom, he just gets to take a free action to generate her. Pretty great either way. 80 points or 50 points, both are pretty solid options, but we'll take a quick look here at the Sarah bystander also. She has Sidestep, 10 attack with Blades, Claws, Fangs, and Penetrating Blast, 17 super senses and 2 damage with Support and Perplex. So she can either perplex her own attack up and, shoot with some Penetrating Blast or hit with Blades, Claws, which the Sidestep is going to help for either way. Or she could just roll support on stuff and perplex up her defense or something, perplex up his attack or defense as needed. There's a lot of options. I love people that can make bystanders that can kind of support themselves. It's really good. Then he also has a special attack power, which gives him Blades, Claws, Fangs, Poison, and Giant Reach X, where X is equal to his current click number, which gets pretty ridiculous when he is on click number 8 with the Flurry and Close Combat Expert. So he'll have a 13 attack Flurry from 8 squares away. And he'll either be dealing at least 3 damage because of the Close Combat Expert, or he could roll for the Blades if you really want to, which I probably would. I'd probably risk it, unless 3 was enough. So yeah, I think 50 points is pretty good for him. That way you kind of just take one hit and get that cool Giant Reach Flurry combo. But 80 points, not bad either, just for the extra, few clicks of health there, get the charge, exploit, 11 attack, 18 defense, and everything. So I kind of like him a little better at 50 maybe, just because it's cheaper to get out, that bystander, and kind of doing the same thing for cheaper. Usually the cheaper line's better. Although I think the main thing you want to do with this guy is actually use him as a pilot. I've already seen a few people talk about it before. Use this guy as a pilot for something, so when it's KO'd, he gets to pop out on that last click with the Flurry 12 attack and the 8 square Giant Reach. It gets pretty ridiculous. So he's definitely got some good pilot potential. And, otherwise you got Blades Exploit, or you at least have Close Combat Expert. So, if one of those options helps out your pilot, then that's great too. Yeah, I think, like I said, he's a great pilot. He's a fun figure, even if you're just playing him on the board. That Sarah bystander is super helpful with the support and everything else that she does, perplex and whatnot. So overall, he's a great rare figure. But next up, on to the multi-based characters. We've got Ghost Rider here, the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. Very cool. Love his motorcycle. And gotta love that trench coat, flapping up in the wind. Very awesome. Vroom, vroom. So, taking a look at his card here, he has the Mystics and Defenders team abilities. Defenders, fantastic for Midnight Suns, mystical, and vehicle keywords. Trait that says friendly characters that have been damaged this turn have Defenders and Mystics team ability. So the first time they get hit, they don't have it, but every time they get hit after that, they will have Mystics, and they'll at least get Defenders also. And he's got a 19 defense top dial with Defenders, so it's really nice if somebody adjacent gets hit, then he can defend them up to a 19 with the team ability, which is really awesome. And then he's also got the Spirit of Vengeance trait to be doing that extra penetrating damage and everything. He's got improved movement for elevated, which is great. 10 movement charge, 11 attack, 3 damage exploit, not bad. And on that special attack power, he's got Giant Reach 2, and then close. Make a close attack targeting all adjacent opposing characters. Instead of normal damage, roll a d6 and divide damage equal to the result among hit characters. So the nice thing about that is it will still be penetrating because of his exploit weakness. But I don't know, I kind of almost would have just preferred Quake, but it's kind of like a Blades Quake combo. It is cool though. It is kind of nice. You could roll it and say you want to deal 4 to 1. Like if you rolled high and rolled a 6, you could roll deal 4 to one person, just KO them, and like 2 to the other person just to injure them or something. Like it's kind of nice if you roll high. If you roll low though, yeah, sure, you might run in there and hit 3 people, but if you roll a 1 or a 2, it's gonna be a lot worse than if he just hit with his 3 damage. So it's a double-edged sword for sure. It has a high risk, high reward there. He could do a ton of damage to multiple people, or less damage than he can just do by hitting one person. So I don't know, that kind of depends on the situation you're in. But I think for 60 points only, he's pretty great. 19 toughness is pretty good. You got a long 10 movement charge with improved movement for elevated. With the giant reach 2, and the exploit is also great. And he gives people just defenders and mystics whenever they get hurt. So that's so good too, just for your whole team. And like I said, if somebody's next to him, they get hit, then he can immediately put them up to a 19 also. And then like your opponent probably doesn't want to hit them again to finish them off, because 19's hard to hit and they're going to take mystics. So pretty cool nonetheless. I think he's really awesome. He's actually a really good team player, which is cool to see too. And the sculpt is freaking awesome. So overall, a great version of Danny. All right, next up, we've got Moon Knight, who I think, if nothing else, deserves an award for like one of the best sculpts in the whole freaking set. This thing is amazing. This thing could have easily been like a super rare sculpt. I almost kind of feel like they should have swapped him and like Blade, because like Blade is awesome on the motorcycle, but like this thing is just beautiful to look at. This is like such a big sculpt, and it's so cool too because this does not fit in like a normal booster. Like this, we only get this amazing big sculpt like this because of the new boosters and everything. So that's pretty cool. To get something like that, otherwise you'd have to be like a convention exclusive, right? So yeah, it looks awesome. 10 out of 10 on the sculpt. But we'll take a look at his dial here. He's got the team player, team ability, so he's a wild card. He's got Avengers, Defenders, Heroes for Hire, Marvel Knights, Detective, Mystical, Vehicle, and Warrior keywords. So a ton of keywords there. Lots of great choices. And he's got the pilot trait. I think this is our first official pilot trait character in the game. So his is for Moon Knight or Marvel Knights. So when revealing your force, you may choose a single base character on your sideline that is named Moon Knight or has the Marvel Knights keyword and turn it to any click. Moon Knight can use the standard attack and damage powers displayed on that character's dial. And when Moon Knight is KO'd, before removing him from the map, generate the chosen character from your sideline on its last non-KO click. This game, that character can't be healed or replaced and isn't scored when KO'd, protected pulse wave. So yeah, basically you just get to pick a Moon Knight or any character with the Marvel Knights keyword that is a single base figure, put it on your sideline, put it on any click, and he gets the attack and damage powers. Now, it has to be like a standard attack power and damage power that are showing. So if it's just a special power, he's not going to get anything from that special power. It has to be like the regular colored power on the dial, So just be wary of that to pick the right, pilots for the job. And then when he's KO'd, you get to bring them out on their last non-KO click. So you kind of get something in place of him when he goes down. You at least get something to fight back with still. And the cool thing is that character is not scored when they're KO'd. They can be any point value and they don't get scored. That part is actually pretty ridiculous because you could put like a 200-point character on his card and they're not going to get scored. Although, it's only one click, and I believe it says they can't be healed or replaced. So you only get that one click, so it's kind of okay, but, there's some shenanigans you can pull off with that for certain characters, for sure. Anyway, taking a look at his dial, 5 range double target with running shot and in cap, and he's got some toughness and a special damage power. But first of all, he does have another trait. At the beginning of your turn, roll a d6 for all friendly characters with a moon trait. He can use the resulting effect. His is actually different than some of the ones we've seen. On a 1 or 2, he gets Empower. On a 3 or 4, he gets Enhancement. And on a 5 or 6, he gets Probability Control. So he gets some team, supporting powers there. Or he gets Prob Control, which is helpful even just for himself as well. And then you gotta love the multiple personalities, one horse. Perplex and Shape Change. Very good special damage power there. So yeah, I gotta love it. Perplex, Shape Change, Toughness. You could potentially get Prob or Empower or Enhancement every turn. And he's got the vehicle keyword, so you could, put Frenchie on him, give him like sidestep, close combat expert, or give him like energy explosion and stealth or whatever. There's a lot of things you can give him just from that. And that's not even talking about whatever other character you pilot him with. There's just so many options. It's so crazy what you can do with these pilot characters because, usually they all have vehicle keywords, so you can put Frenchie on them for something, you can get powers from the pilot, and you can still equip them with something else to give them even more stuff. So they can have like multiple extra powers from like 3 or 4 different sources. It gets pretty nuts. And then when they're KO'd, they're dropping out their pilot, and they might be dropping out a Frenchie on top of it. And they might be even dropping their equipment. So it just gets so crazy, and it's so awesome though. I love it. As crazy as it is, it's super fun. It's super powerful too. It's really, really strong effect. And he's only 65 points. Like, I feel like he's one of the weaker pilots actually overall. But I've seen him do really well in Sealed, and I still think he's a really fun figure outside of that. I still kind of want to play with him just because he's Moon Knight, and we are going to be getting some more Moon Knights with the next set with Disney Plus, based off the MCU Moon Knight show. So I can't wait to see if we get a really good one there that might be like the main pilot for him. That would be really cool to see. So yeah, overall, just really like the figure a lot. Really cool. But up next, we've got one of the most powerful figures in the whole set right here, Orb. This dude, he may look kind of goofy, kind of silly, but this little stunt rider guy right here with the Watcher's Eye is just so freaking good. You would not believe it if you didn't see it for yourself. So let's take a look at his card here. He does have the Assassin, Cosmic, Monster, Mystical, and Vehicle keywords. So a great selection of generic keywords there. His Watcher's Stolen Eye trait is crazy. Orb's attack rolls of double ones are critical hits instead of critical misses. When Orb attacks, you may replace one die in his attack roll with a 1. Once per game, you may choose that a friendly character's critical miss becomes a critical hit. If you do, Orb can't use this trait this game. So that one trait right there just makes him so powerful. He basically cannot crit miss unless he loses the ability to use this trait by saving somebody else's crit miss and then immediately crit misses himself. Besides that specific scenario, he's immune to crit misses, it seems like. And you almost want to crit miss because if you can replace any die with a 1 in his attack roll. So, if you roll a 1 and like a 5 or something, you might be like, 6 misses. But hey, I can replace that 5 to a 1 and boom, all of a sudden that critically hits. Let's go. So he's super strong, only 45 points. He ignores elevated outdoor blocking and can move through characters but still needs to break away normally. So he's got lots of great improved movements there, pretty much basically for everything, more or less. Then you've got running shot, energy explosion, energy shield deflection, and probability control on top of everything. So he's also probbing his freaking rolls. It's freaking crazy. And then his trait here, Charge Flurry, but only if Orb crossed the rim of elevated terrain this turn. When Orb attacks, modify his attack +1 for each of the following he moved through this turn: hindering terrain, blocking terrain, characters. Yeah, pretty crazy. As long as he moves through some stuff, he gets +1 to his attack. If he moves through elevated, he gets Flurry. It's pretty nuts. So he can be a really good close attacker or a good ranged attacker because he also has that running shot to start out with. So you can really just kind of pick and choose your battles if you want to run in shot with the energy explosion or charge over some elevated to get the flurry. Maybe, go over some other stuff so you can get, +2 or +3 attack. And then you've got prob just in case you need it, which you probably won't, because even if you do roll low and roll a 1, you just replace it, to another 1 to critically hit. It's so freaking crazy. This dude is nuts. Definitely one of the strongest rares, one of the strongest figures, period, in the whole set. Definitely gonna be huge for Pulp. He's not unique, so I would advise getting multiples of him if you intend to play Pulp games. Even if you intend to play regular games, I'd have a couple of them on hand because this guy just does too much for 45 points. He's such a strong attacker for so cheap. Very mobile. He's got good keywords too with Monster and Mystical. You can place him with Blackheart right? And then you can go into town. He's got vehicle, so you can put Frenchie on him to give him that extra, you know, sidestep, close combat expert, or whatever you want on him, perplex or whatever. It's just pretty crazy. You know, like, I don't know what else to say at this point. Like, I think you guys get the point. 45 points. He's also got like 7 clicks of health. Let's just throw that in there. Long dial, lots of damage potential. You know, he's basically never missing attacks if you kind of play your cards right there. And yeah, just a super low point value. Like, it's actually crazy how good this guy is. Definitely 10 out of 10 figure for sure. All right, but last but not least for the rares, actually one of my favorite rares here, even though she's not quite as crazy as some of the other ones, she's still super strong herself. We got Electra on a motorcycle. Very cool. You know, I like the red motorcycle. Kind of like leading the charge, you know, with the hand ninjas on the motorcycles, I guess. I'd love to play a hand team with like her and a bunch of hand ninjas and, you know, maybe Daredevil or whatever. And maybe like Matt Murdock or whatever. But anyway, she's got Heroes for Hire, Marvel Knights, The Hand, Thunderbolts, Martial Artist, Mystical, and Vehicle keywords. Gotta love it. Pretty much everything you want right there for Electra. And then for her pilot ability, it's for Electra, Daredevil, or Martial Artist keyword. So any single base figure named Electra, Daredevil, or Martial Artist, you can put on her card, get their attack and damage powers, and they can pop out on their last non-KO click. And, you know, just like every other pilot trait. And then she's got 11 blades, 18 super senses, 2 damage, close combat expert. Pretty long dial there, 8 clicks with some steel energy and regen at the back there. But taking a look at her other traits here, she also has free, turn the character chosen for Electra's pilot trait to a different click. That right there is really freaking cool, because nobody else yet can do that. So she can kind of pick and choose, you know, what click. So it's really beneficial for her to have a pilot that has multiple different, you know, good attack and damage combos for her to choose from at any time. If you can find a good pilot for that, you know, that would be the best thing. And then you also have hypersonic speed and stealth on her special attack power. So, you know, hypersonic speed and stealth, the whole dial, lots of blades, lots of close combat expert. You probably want to find somebody that's got like precision, exploit, maybe like range combat expert and penetrating blast. You just got to find somebody that you can pick and choose. I was looking and I kind of forgot. I think I found a couple that were pretty interesting, but I already kind of forgot who they were. But yeah, she's really awesome. I love Electra. She's really cool. One of my favorite versions of her, and a really, really fun and awesome pilot figure as well. And that's going to do it for the rares, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to smash that like button. It does help me out a lot. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, don't forget to click the links in the description below for the Patreon, or hit the join button down there for the YouTube memberships. Either way, for as little as $1 a month, you get entered into our monthly giveaways and see your name here in the credits with all these other awesome people. But that's going to do it for this one, you guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.